Alright guys, I'm Sergeant Alpha and welcome back to another episode of American Truck Simulator. First off, I want to apologize. It's been so long since I've released any kind of video for any of the series I have on my channel. The reason behind that is, one, I've just had a really busy work schedule, and right now I'm working 6 days a week and I have enough time to come home, get something to eat, take a shower, and by then I'm just so dead I just don't even feel like watching TV, let alone playing a game and recording for at least half an hour. So while I had time, thought I would go ahead and record this episode and kind of fill you guys on what's happening. And again, same with my last episodes of American Truck Simulator. The reason I'm doing it on this video is there's not as much going on in the game, so I can kind of focus and I'm not having to switch between what's going on in the game and what I'm trying to tell you guys. But with that out of the way, we'll go ahead and get started with our delivery. And it's going to be just under 600 miles, and we're going to be headed out from LA to Arizona. And we've got about 30 hours to get there, but our ETA is around 15 hours, so we should be there in plenty of time. Also, in my last ATS episode, I said that I was going to use the Volvo, but just with everything that's going on, I figured that I would go ahead and use the Kenworth just because it has the American flag up, painted all over it. And then, just with everything that's going on right now, it's something kind of in some recognition of that. Didn't really think of what I'm trying to say for that. We're gonna go ahead and start our drive, and that's how I'll continue to fill you in. I have managed to reinstall Grand Theft Auto 5 since I know a lot of you guys are wanting to see LSPDFR, but I haven't really done anything else much more than get it installed, just because, like I said, I haven't really had the time or the energy. But I will be working on that as soon as I can. World of Warships, same as Grand Theft Auto, I really haven't had time to play. But same as last time, I'm still not dedicated to any particular country or ship yet, so I have plenty of time to change around. If you guys want to see anything in particular, just let me know and I'll try to work my way towards it. As you can see by some of my videos in that series, though, I am kind of favoring battleships. I'm trying to keep cruisers and destroyers kind of close to the same tier as my battleships. So that's why it's taking me a little bit longer to progress through the tiers. And right now I think the highest tier ship I have is a tier 5 or tier 6. And most of those are American, but I do have some from Japan, Germany, and I don't think I have any British. But I do have a couple of Russian cruisers and destroyers as well. The only aircraft carrier I have is for America, and it is the tier 4 Langley. Later on I'll try to get the Japanese aircraft carrier just because they carry so many more planes. But it will still be a while before I get there to so I was going to talk about some of the stuff that's been going on since I've recorded my last episode. It's been about 3 weeks. For the last few episodes that I released for any of my games, I mentioned that I had a job opportunity, and I went down there and did some of the testing for that. I'm done with part of it. I'm still going to have to go back later on and finish the rest of it. But it's a pretty good opportunity. I'm hoping for it, and while I've been working on that, I actually had a second opportunity present itself. there's a guy that drives the truck for the company I work for, and one morning he came in, he was on to me and told me that even though I'm working towards a job in law enforcement, that I could, depending on which company I go through, pretty much I could fairly easily get a job driving 18-wheelers like I do in ATS. And he said that pretty much all I'd have to do would be to contact them, let them know that I want to go through one of their programs to get my CDL, the commercial driver's license, and basically they would put me through their school to get my CDL, and once I do that and I get my CDL, they'll pay for all that. I just have to work for them for a year. So there is some other job opportunities right now. I'm just kind of figure out what I want to do, and then at the same time, like I said, my work schedule's just been so crazy. I haven't even really been able to look into that too much either. But I mean, I think it'd be pretty interesting just for the simple fact that as kids, a lot of us thought we'd want to drive trucks or something like that. And at the same time, you're getting to go out, and depending on where you're delivering to, you get to see different parts of America. And you don't get to get out and visit every small city you pass through, but at the same time, you're still seeing parts of the country that you wouldn't get from any other job. That being said, I know it's going to be, if I do choose to do that, it would be a very hard career just because of the amount of time that you spend on the road and away from your family. But I mean, same thing. I'm one of those people who likes to get out and see places and travel. So it would be kind of one of those mixed match things for me. Yeah, I would get to do one thing I like, but on the other hand, I would lose spending time with my family, which is another thing I like. There's been all that, and then, like I said in one of my episodes for LSPFR and one of my first episodes for American Truck Simulator, in the past I have been in the Marine Corps active duty, and I was a military police officer. So with all this stuff going on with law enforcement, you know, it's kind of hitting kind of close to home. There was the 5 officers in Dallas that were shot and killed. There were 7 more that were wounded. There was Sunday 3 more officers killed in Louisiana, another 3 wounded, and this morning before I started recording this episode, there was another officer in Kansas City, Kansas that was shot. And from one place I've read, they're reporting that he was killed as well, and another page I read, they're still saying that he was just wounded. So I'm not sure how that situation is unfolding yet. But again, it just hits really close to home for me because I have worked in that field, and I still know people in that field. And with everything going on in Louisiana, I called one of my friends as soon as I heard what was going on, and I didn't know if he was working, I didn't know if he was off work or where he was at, but he works pretty close to Baton Rouge. And when I first called him and I was texting him, he wasn't answering me, so I was pretty close to taking a road trip from North Carolina to Louisiana just to make sure that he was alright. Luckily, he finally got a hold of me. He said that he was alright. But yeah, it's just one of those things that when you're in the law enforcement community, it don't matter if you're related or not, you consider each other your family. And it's just been a rough couple of weeks for everybody. And I mean, a lot of people are saying that the cops are asking for it. And that is just not what happens at all. I mean, anybody can look at these videos that are getting released to the media and for everybody to see, and you can go back and say what he should have done all day long. But in the end, no matter who you are, you weren't there when all that was happening. Stuff like that happens in the blink of an eye. You never know what someone's thinking, or if he has a gun that you don't know about, or a knife, or something that can harm you or someone else. And when somebody's trying to fight you, you really don't have that much of a time to react to that either. I mean, yeah, watching this video, it might look like this guy's trying to do what he's supposed to be doing, but really he's not. He's sitting there fighting them. Or you can, even if he is fighting them, he's fighting them actively, and they're trying to keep him from hurting them or hurting himself, and he's still not listening to what he's doing, and suddenly he reaches into his pocket. But you don't know if he's just trying to take drugs out of his pocket to hide it somewhere else, or if he's trying to pull a gun or a knife or whatever else. And I thought about that after I said it, so let me back that back up. Whenever it looks like he's not fighting, and I know there's at least one or two videos circling around right now where people were saying that this one kid had got pulled over because there's a report of a guy with a gun, and people are saying that he didn't do anything to get shot, but he was shot and killed by law enforcement. Well, in that video alone, if you haven't seen it, I'll kind of give you a brief summary. There was a report of a guy with a gun, and while they were looking for this guy, a truck pulls out of a parking lot, takes down the road, driving pretty recklessly. So they pull him over, and after they pulled him over and they're all the cars and everything, they're telling this kid to stay where he is, get down on the ground, all this other good stuff. But he's not listening. He's keeping his hand behind his back, around his waist, which is one of the spots that some people put weapons or drugs or whatever else they want to have on them. And he's approaching the officers, and that's two big things right there. And he's got his hands where they can't see what's going on, and he's trying to close the distance so where he has more time to do something, and they don't have as much reaction time to stop him. And I mean, they tell him several times to stop, get on the ground and everything, and he just does not listen, so eventually they end up unfortunately shooting him. But it turns out that he didn't have a weapon, so now everyone is saying, oh, they shot an unarmed kid for no reason. There was a reason. It was that he wasn't doing what he was told, and there was a pretty good possibility that he was armed. I mean, just stuff like that has caused all this firestorm of drama everywhere. And from being in law enforcement myself and being pulled over, because even though I've been in law enforcement, I'm like everybody else, I've got pulled over for speeding or having a tag or tail light out or headlight, whatever have you. If you just do what that officer tells you to do, you're really not going to have any problems. I mean, I have been in a position where I was actively working a job in law enforcement. I wasn't on duty at the time, but I got pulled over. And I still got a ticket because I was doing stuff I shouldn't have been doing, but I didn't try to fight the officer. I didn't try to argue. I just remained respectful towards him. He remained respectful towards me, and we handled it like grown adults. We didn't just start screaming at each other and all this other nonsense. Well, and if I had a knife or a gun or something in my vehicle or on me, I would let them know, hey, I have this on me, and I would keep my hands where they could see my hands, so they don't want you to do anything stupid. Because that's the same thing that I would appreciate somebody doing for me if I was in their position. Because then I would know, hey, I know he has it, and he's voluntarily told me, so in my mind, he's less likely to try to use that against me. But then people just take it too far, because they take all this and then they go and do all these protests and just damage their own cities for no reason. And when everything gets handled in a court, no matter what, there's racking up all these damages that everyone's going to have to pay for in taxes. And then they're blocking interstates and highways and all this other stuff. Just being a general nuisance, which, yeah, I get it, you want to make a point, but there's a difference between making a point and just being completely obnoxious with it. So there's that, and then there's these people now that are just going out to blatantly target law enforcement, like we saw in Dallas and now Baton Rouge. And for me, that is just one of the things I cannot stand, because, you know, in the law enforcement community, these guys go out and they're there to help you. Don't care if you're white or if you're black or if you're Asian, if you're some guy from Mars. I mean, you know, I don't care if you're straight, if you're not, Catholic, Baptist, Buddhist, whatever have you. That don't matter to them. They're just there to help you or help, you know, your neighbor, whoever else needs their help. But just because of the uniform that they wear, they're now becoming targets. I mean, that's just not right. And just getting to a point to where there's not really any sign of this stopping anytime soon. And that is just a very depressing thing that's happening these days. Which, if you're curious just how often, you know, someone in law enforcement is killed in the line of duty, which you don't see them all, so whenever you see the news and all this protest stuff is going on, people saying, well, they don't have anything to fear for their lives for. On average, there is a police officer in the United States killed every 53 hours. And there's usually over 100 line of duty deaths every year. So there is something that law enforcement have in their back of their heads, that when they shoot someone in self-defense, that they can justify saying, I fear for my life because of everything going on right now and all these officers every year to die. I wanted to protect myself and my fellow officers or the community, whoever have you. If you don't want to take my word for it, you can look up www.odmp.org, Oscar Mike Delta Papa.org. That is the Officer Down Memorial page. And what that is it goes through and it lists every officer killed in the line of duty. And they update it every time there's an officer killed. And that'll just kind of give you a perspective on how many officers are actually killed in the line of duty every year, and it even shows a statistic for, you know, if it was a health problem, or if they were shot, if they were stabbed, if they were in a car accident, something like that. And even myself as a military police officer, I didn't realize it was as high as it was until, you I looked that up, and then I wouldn't recommend you do it just because it's so depressing, but at the time, just to kind of get a sense of it, I signed up on that website to where I got an email every time a police officer was killed. And they had updated their website and told how they were killed, when it was, all that other stuff. And there for a while I was getting an email every couple of days. Like I said, since it's so depressing, I finally had to go back and stop that email from coming in all the time. I mean, like I said, just because you think there's not an excuse for an officer to say that they feared for their life, there is a reason that they fear for their life. Anyway, I'm going to try to get to a less depressing topic for the rest of the trip here. And I know I've been speeding for a while, but I've mostly been focused on trying to get all this stuff out and having time to get that out before I go on to my next topic. I haven't really been monitoring my speeds as much, but I don't think I've passed any police on the road, so I haven't got any tickets. Well, I am about halfway there now, and it's still gonna be a while. I thought this whole discussion would take longer than it did, so I have a little bit extra time, but I can always find more things to talk about. Like I said before, I may I need that. Bought my mouse and completely messed up my view and buried it in our chart back there. Yeah. I was hoping I didn't do too much damage to the cargo, but I did do some damage. I'll have to get back up to speed. Sorry, right there. Okay. Actually, how close that car behind me is riding? I'm curious if they didn't rear the trailer. But as I was saying before in some other episodes, I may do a couple throwback episodes of some 360 games, or like Mass Effect or something like that, or I may just do some Xbox One games, something like that, while I'm trying to figure out my main games for my series here and the problems I have going on with those. That way I still have some videos coming in, and it's not as much of a hassle to get online with the computer and record it, and just record off the Xbox, and it's fairly simple. Not having to go through and make sure all my mods are working or all my scripts are working, and then once I'm sure I'll have all those installed and working, make sure the game's gonna work and not have any lag. The 360 and Xbox One, you can't really mod, or I don't mod at least, so it's pretty much just making sure my disc isn't all messed up and popping it in and playing for a little while, as long as my controller isn't dead. If you do start seeing some Xbox One games or Xbox 360 games, that's all I'm doing. I'm just kind of changing up. I really don't do it that much, but all the time I see people doing this hashtag Throwback Thursday, which I still haven't figured out what all the hashtags are, and I'm a fairly young guy. I'm only going to be 25 next month, so a little bit behind the main crowd, but if I start doing that, Thursdays I may do a Xbox 360 game for Throwback Thursday or whatever it is you guys call it. And then the rest of the time I'll do some other videos from other things, or I'll do some more episodes for the series I already have. But we're closing in on 170 miles, ETA of about 4.5 hours. So then we're in Arizona now, or we should be at least. Let's check real quick. Yeah, we've been in Arizona for a while. So right down here is where we're going. Pretty much the far back side of Arizona. And if you haven't played this game yet, all the yellow roads are places I've been, all the gray roads I haven't been to. This orange is my route, and you can actually change your route around if you want to go somewhere else. You don't have to take this route right here like I have been doing. But since it was pretty much the quickest route anyway, I've just been following this. And yeah, I know that they've mentioned doing some more states. I haven't checked any new updates on that yet, but if they are, I'm kind of curious to see what states will be next. I know for the most part it's going to be out in the western side of the United States, but personally for me, I would like to see something with more hills or mountains. Most of the west coast out here has been like smaller hills or flat. I mean, most of you guys would probably think that this isn't flat, but for me, I grew up and I live kind of in the mountains of North Carolina. So for me, all this is kind of flat. I mean, even the hills aren't really hills to me in here. And then there's you guys that actually live in the mountains. So what I consider hills and mountains might be nothing to you guys too, but just something different than fairly flat ground would be something I'd like to see. And then more selections for trucks for the stock game, so I have to go through the workshop and getting them that way, because every time I go to play multiplayer, or the last time I tried at least, for me to do it I had to take out all my mods, and when I went to put my game earlier, a couple of them weren't working, so I had to go back and rebuy a truck, or I go back and reinstall something. You know, it's just, I want to be able to get that truck that I already have and not have to worry about losing it if I want to do an episode of multiplayer. And then when I get done with that and get back to do a single player episode, having to have the money to rebuy that truck and redo all my upgrades to it, and I just don't want to deal with that. And then I guess the Volvo kind of spoiled me with all the upgrade options that you have with it. I probably want to see a few more upgrade options with the stock game trucks. More things you can add to them, and have the things you can put on there for eye feel and all that good stuff, as opposed to just, hey, you know, these mirrors are going this range for your gas, or you want your tires to look like this. And my Volvo, I could go through and I could set up the length of the chassis. I could set up how many lights I wanted on the cab. I could change up my exhaust pipes. I could do all these things. I could change up the interior a lot more than I could this Kenworth, you know. Stuff like that would be something I would like to see. But as I am coming in on the final 22-ish miles, I'm going to go ahead and start wrapping up with my episode. And I will start trying to get back to doing some more episodes. Once I get my schedule figured out to where I'm not doing 6 days a week anymore, I'll start updating more and more videos. Right now, while I'm doing 6 days a week, I may only have time to do 1 or 2 a week. But I will start putting more videos up again. But once I get to my destination here, that will be all I have time for this episode. If you kind of watched through the whole episode and you suffered through my rambling, I appreciate it. You know, just gave me a chance to express my opinions on a couple of things, and like I said, give you guys an update on what's going on with me and my channel. But yeah, if you like what you see, just give me a like, and if you want to help me out a little bit, subscribe. And if there's anything you feel I could do differently, or you would like to see me do differently, just leave me a comment in the comment section. You know, I'll come through and I'll check and see what you guys are saying, if I'm not posting any videos at the time. And I'll definitely try to put some stuff you guys want to see on. Again, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.